Stop saying my English is weak. Start saying my English is improving. Today's topic is very important because today we are learning how to move from beginner to fluent speaker, step by step. Not fast, not fake, not memorized, real growth.
Stop saying, my English is weak. Start saying, my English is improving. Today's topic is very important because today we are learning how to move from beginner to fluent speaker, step by step, not fast, not fake, not memorized, real growth. Close your eyes for 1 second. Think about your English level. Maybe you are beginner. Maybe you hesitate. Maybe you translate in your mind. That is okay. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. The difference? They did not stop. Now listen carefully. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is control. Fluency is finishing your sentence calmly. Fluency is speaking without fear. Let's start from the foundation. If you are beginner, control 3 things only: present, past, future. Example: I work every day. I worked yesterday. I will work tomorrow. Simple, clear, powerful. Don't complicate it. Strong basics create strong fluency. Now we build speaking muscle. Repeat after me. I am learning step by step. Again. I am improving every day. Feel your voice. Control your speed. Now we go to thinking in English. This is the real upgrade. Stop thinking in your native language first. Start small. Look around you. Say, I am sitting. There is a wall. My phone is in my hand. Small thoughts. Daily thoughts. This trains your brain. And when your brain thinks in English, your mouth speaks naturally. Now we fix the biggest beginner mistake. Short answers. Question: why are you learning English? Weak answer: for job. Stronger answer: I am learning English because I want better job opportunities. Even stronger: I am learning English because I want better job opportunities and more confidence in professional communication. Add reason. Reason creates fluency. Now let's train connectors. Say these words slowly. Because. However. Actually. In my opinion. For example. These are power words. Example: actually, I started learning English to improve my communication. See. Instant upgrade. Now we remove fear. Say this clearly. I am not afraid of mistakes. Again. Mistakes make me better. Again. I speak to improve. Fear blocks fluency. Action builds fluency. Now speed control. Don't speak like this. I want to speak English fluently very fast. Speak like this. I want to speak English fluently and confidently. Pause. Pause gives power. Strong speakers use silence. Now imagine 6 months from today. You walk into a room. You introduce yourself. Calm voice. Clear words. Confident tone. That version of you is built today, not tomorrow. Today. Now final fluency drill. Stand straight. Take a deep breath. Say, I started as a beginner. Pause. I am becoming fluent. Pause. I will keep practicing. Imagine a boy sitting alone in his room. He wants to speak English. But every time he tries, he stops. He thinks too much. He translates every word. And then, he says nothing. That boy feels frustrated. He watches fluent speakers online. He thinks, they speak so easily. Why can't I? One day, he makes a small decision. Not a big promise. Not a dramatic plan. Just one small decision. I will speak for 10 minutes daily. That's it. First day. He speaks alone. Broken sentences. Wrong grammar. Low confidence. But he speaks. Second day. He feels uncomfortable. His mind says, "This is embarrassing." But he continues. Third day. He starts noticing something. His sentences are slightly faster. Still not perfect. But better. 1 week later. He doesn't translate every sentence. Some words come automatically. Small improvement. But real improvement. 1 month later. Someone asks him, "Why are you learning English?" This time, he doesn't freeze. He says, "I am learning English because I want to improve my communication skills and build more confidence." Not perfect, but clear. And that moment changes everything. Because now, he believes. He realizes. Fluency is not magic. It is repetition. Every day, he follows a simple routine. 5 minutes reading aloud. 5 minutes listening carefully. 5 minutes speaking in front of a mirror. He looks into his own eyes and says, "I am improving." Some days are good. Some days feel slow. But he doesn't stop. Slow progress is still progress. After 3 months, his voice becomes stronger. His pauses become natural. He uses words like, "actually," "basically," "in my opinion," without thinking too much. People start noticing. "You speak better now." That sentence gives him energy. But he knows something important. He knows he is still learning. And that mindset keeps him growing. One evening, he joins a small conversation. Earlier he would stay silent. Now he says, "That's interesting. I think communication is very important because it helps people understand each other clearly." Calm. Balanced. Controlled. Not fast. Not nervous. Just clear. And in that moment, he understands the real secret. Fluency is not about speaking fast. Fluency is about speaking without fear. So he continues. Every single day. Small practice. Small courage. Small improvement. And slowly, the beginner starts disappearing. And a confident speaker starts appearing. But the journey is still going. Because fluency is not a destination. It is a daily habit. And one day, something unexpected happens. He makes a mistake in front of others. Earlier, that mistake would destroy his confidence. He would stay silent for the rest of the conversation. But this time, he smiles. He corrects himself. And continues speaking. No panic. No apology again and again. Just correction. And flow. That day, he learns something powerful. Mistakes are not enemies. Silence is. So he chooses speaking over silence. Every time. Now his routine becomes stronger. Morning. He reads one paragraph loudly. Slowly. Clearly. He focuses on pronunciation. He listens to how words sound. Afternoon. He listens to English conversations. Not like entertainment, but like a student. He notices tone. He notices pauses. He notices confidence. Evening. He speaks. Not perfectly, but consistently. Sometimes he records himself. At first, he doesn't like his voice. It feels strange. But after some weeks, he hears improvement. Clearer words. Better speed. Stronger tone. And something else changes. His body language. He starts sitting straight. He starts maintaining eye contact. Even when speaking alone. Because fluency is not only mouth. It is posture. It is breathing. It is calm energy. One day, someone speaks very fast English in front of him. Earlier, he would feel small. Now he says calmly, "Could you please repeat that?" Confidence. Control. No shame. Because he understands now. Good communication is not about pretending. It is about clarity. Weeks turn into months. He starts thinking directly in English. When he walks outside, he says in his mind, "The weather is nice today." When he finishes work, "I completed my task successfully." Small thoughts. Automatic thoughts. And that is the turning point. When thinking changes, speaking changes. Now when someone asks him, "Tell me about yourself," he doesn't freeze. He breathes. And answers, "I am someone who believes in continuous learning. I started improving my English step by step, and over time I built confidence through daily practice." Clear. Simple. Strong. And he remembers. The old version of himself. The one who was afraid. The one who stayed silent. The one who thought fluency was impossible. He smiles. Because now he knows. Fluency was never far. It was just waiting. For consistency. And he continues practicing. Not because he is weak. But because he wants to grow even more. Every day. A little better. Every conversation. A little stronger. And slowly. His English is no longer something he fears. It becomes something he owns. And then, a bigger moment comes. He is invited to speak in front of a small group. Not a huge stage. Not hundreds of people. Just a few listeners. But for him, it feels big. Very big. His heart beats fast. His hands feel slightly cold. Old fear tries to return. That small voice says, "What if you forget words? What if you make mistakes?" He takes a deep breath. He remembers his practice. He remembers the mirror. He remembers the daily 10 minutes. And he starts. Slowly. "Good evening, everyone." His voice is not shaking. It is steady. He continues. "In the beginning, I was afraid of speaking English. The room is silent. People are listening." He shares his journey. Not perfect grammar. Not complicated vocabulary. Just real words. Real story. Real confidence. And something beautiful happens. No one laughs. No one judges. Instead, they nod. They relate. Because confidence is attractive. Honesty is powerful. When he finishes, there is applause. Small. But meaningful. That applause is not just for his English. It is for his courage. That night, he realizes something deeper. Fluency is not about sounding like someone else. It is about expressing yourself clearly. He stops comparing. He stops chasing perfect accent. He focuses on clarity. On calm tone. On strong message. Now conversations feel different. Earlier, he was trying to survive conversations. Now, he enjoys them. He asks questions. He shares opinions. He listens actively. He uses phrases naturally. "I agree with you. That's an interesting point. In my opinion. Let me explain." These small phrases give him control. Control gives him confidence. And confidence makes him fluent. One day someone says, "You speak English very confidently." He smiles. Because they don't see the months of practice. They don't see the uncomfortable days. They don't see the self-doubt he defeated. But he knows. And that makes him stronger. He continues learning new words. But he uses them wisely. Not to impress. But to express. He speaks slower than fast speakers. But clearer. He pauses when needed. He breathes between thoughts. He owns his silence. And now, when a beginner sits quietly in the room, afraid to speak, he recognizes that look. Because that was him. He says gently, "Start small. Speak daily. Don't wait to be perfect." Because he understands something important. Fluent English is not built in a classroom alone. It is built in daily courage, daily repetition, daily belief. And the journey still continues. Because growth never truly stops. And one afternoon, that beginner walks up to him. Nervous, quiet, almost whispering. "How did you become fluent?" He doesn't laugh. He doesn't show off. He remembers his own struggle. He says calmly, "I didn't become fluent in one day. I became fluent the day I stopped quitting." The beginner looks confused. So he explains, "I practiced even when I didn't feel confident. I spoke even when my grammar was not perfect. I continued even when progress was slow." The beginner asks, "But what if people judge me?" He smiles gently. "People are busy thinking about themselves. Most of your fear is in your mind." Silence. Then he adds, "If you wait to be perfect, you will wait forever." That sentence hits deep. Because it's true. Later that day, he sits alone and reflects. He remembers the first time he recorded his voice. He hated it. Now, he listens to his old recordings sometimes. Not to feel embarrassed, but to see growth. The difference is clear. Earlier, broken confidence. Now, calm presence. Earlier, fear in every pause. Now, power in every pause. He understands something powerful. Fluency is not about removing fear completely. It is about speaking even when fear is there. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is steady. And steady is strong. Weeks pass. He joins more conversations. Some go well. Some feel awkward. But he doesn't overthink anymore. After every conversation, he asks himself, "What did I do well? What can I improve?" Not self-criticism. Self-correction. That mindset changes everything. He begins to notice small upgrades. His vocabulary expands naturally. His pronunciation improves. His listening becomes sharper. He doesn't interrupt. He responds thoughtfully. Now when someone speaks fast English, he doesn't panic. He listens for keywords. He asks politely if needed. He stays calm. Because calm is fluency. One evening, he looks at himself in the mirror again. Just like the first days. But this time, he doesn't see a scared beginner. He sees someone who kept going. Someone who didn't run from discomfort. Someone who built skill through repetition. He speaks to himself. "I am proud of my progress." And this time, it feels real. No doubt. No hesitation. Just quiet confidence. He realizes something deeper. English was never the real challenge. Belief was. Discipline was. Consistency was. And once those became habits, fluency followed naturally. Now every day, he still practices. Not because he is weak, but because growth excites him. He reads more. He listens more. He speaks more. And every sentence he speaks carries a story behind it. A story of small steps. Small courage. Small daily wins. And that story is still being written. And one morning, he wakes up earlier than usual. Not because someone forced him, but because he wants to practice. That is the difference now. Practice is no longer pressure. It is part of his identity. He makes a simple rule for himself. No 0 days. Even if he is busy. Even if he is tired. He will speak at least 5 minutes. Sometimes in front of a mirror. Sometimes while walking. Sometimes recording a voice note. Small action. But daily action. And daily action builds power. One day at work. A sudden situation happens. Someone asks him to explain an idea. In English. In front of others. Earlier. He would avoid eye contact. Pretend to check his phone. Stay silent. But now. He takes a breath. And starts. I think we should focus on improving communication because it directly affects team performance. Clear sentence. Balanced speed. Confident tone. He continues explaining. Not perfectly. But effectively. And when he finishes. No one looks surprised. Because to them. He already sounds confident. That is when he understands something important. Your growth becomes invisible to others. Because they only see your current level. They don't see your journey. But you know the journey. You know the fear you defeated. You know the days you wanted to quit. You know the awkward recordings. The slow progress. The silent practice. And that makes you stronger. Now he starts helping others practice. He asks simple questions. What did you do today? What are your goals? Why do you want to improve your English? He listens patiently. He corrects gently. Because he remembers. Harsh correction kills confidence. Soft correction builds it. And every time he helps someone else speak, his own fluency becomes stronger. Because teaching clarifies thinking. One evening. He sits quietly. No phone. No noise. Just reflection. He asks himself. What really changed? The grammar. Maybe a little. The vocabulary. Yes, improved. But the biggest change. His mindset. He stopped saying, I can't speak. And started saying, I am learning to speak. That one shift. Changed everything. Because words shape identity. And identity shapes action. Now English is not something he fears. It is something he uses. To express ideas. To build connections. To create opportunities. And the most powerful realization. He understands that fluency is not a final destination. Even fluent speakers keep improving. They learn new expressions. They refine clarity. They adjust tone. Growth never stops. So he continues. Not chasing perfection. Not chasing comparison. Just chasing progress. One small improvement at a time. One clear sentence at a time. One confident conversation at a time. And slowly, very slowly, English becomes natural. Not forced. Not memorized. But lived. And every time he speaks now, there is strength behind his voice. Because that voice was built day by day, sentence by sentence, choice by choice. And then, something even more interesting begins to happen. He stops thinking about English and starts focusing on ideas. Earlier, his mind was busy with grammar. Is this correct? Am I using the right tense? Now, his mind is busy with meaning. What do I really want to say? That shift is powerful. Because real fluency begins when language becomes a tool, not a barrier. One afternoon, he joins a discussion. Different opinions. Different personalities. Earlier, he would agree with everyone. Just to avoid speaking too much. Now he says calmly, I respect your opinion, but I see it differently. Silence. People look at him. He continues. In my experience, consistency matters more than talent. His voice is steady. No shaking. No rushing. Just clarity. He realizes something. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is controlled energy. And control comes from practice. Later that night, he remembers his first days again. The hesitation. The self-doubt. The fear of being judged. He smiles. Because that fear no longer controls him. It may appear sometimes. Before a big conversation. Before a new situation. But now he knows how to handle it. He breathes slowly. He slows his speech. He focuses on one sentence at a time. One sentence. Then another. Then another. He doesn't try to sound impressive. He tries to sound clear. And clarity wins. Weeks later, he meets someone who speaks very advanced English. Strong vocabulary. Complex sentences. For a moment, old comparison tries to return. But this time, he stays calm. He listens. He learns. He even asks. That's a great word. What does it exactly mean? No ego. No insecurity. Because strong learners ask questions. And he is still a learner. That humility makes him stronger. Now he understands something deeply. Fluency is not about knowing every word. It is about expressing your thoughts comfortably. It is about staying calm under pressure. It is about continuing even after mistakes. He builds one more habit. After every important conversation, he reflects. What did I say well? Where did I hesitate? What new word did I learn? This reflection sharpens him. Improvement becomes intentional, not accidental. And slowly, his identity fully changes. He no longer says, I am trying to improve my English. He says, I speak English. Simple, direct, confident. Because what you repeat daily becomes who you are. And now, when he walks into a room, he doesn't look for escape. He looks for connection. Because language is connection. And he built that connection. Through courage. Through repetition. Through discipline. And every single day, he still practices. Not because he has to. But because growth feels powerful. And the journey keeps unfolding. Sentence by sentence. Conversation by conversation. Stronger each time. And one day, he faces a real test. Not a small group. Not friends. But a formal interview. A serious room. Serious faces. Serious questions. Earlier, this situation would make him nervous for days. Overthinking. Sweaty hands. Fast heartbeat. But now, he prepares differently. Not by memorizing answers, but by organizing thoughts. He writes simple structures. Introduction. Experience. Goals. He practices speaking them naturally. Not like a robot. Like a human. The interview day arrives. He sits straight. Breathes slowly. The first question comes. Tell me about yourself. For 1 second. Time feels slow. Then he begins. Thank you for the opportunity. I am someone who believes in continuous improvement. Clear. Steady. Natural pauses. He doesn't rush. He doesn't try to impress with difficult words. He speaks clearly. He finishes one idea. Then moves to the next. Midway. He forgets one word. Old version would panic. New version. He rephrases. He explains differently. Because fluency is flexibility. Not perfection. The interview ends. He walks out. Not thinking. Did I speak perfect English? But thinking. I expressed myself clearly. And that is victory. Days later. He receives good news. But the real success was not the result. The real success was his calm confidence. He proved to himself that he can handle pressure in English. And that realization changes everything. Now he trusts himself. Trust creates stability. Stability creates fluency. He notices something else too. When he speaks calmly, others listen carefully. When he pauses, people respect his words more. He understands now. Speed is not power. Clarity is power. Tone is power. Control is power. And he continues refining. He improves pronunciation by listening closely. He learns expressions from real conversations. He practices storytelling. Because storytelling makes language alive. One evening, he shares his journey with a group. Not to show off, but to inspire. He says, "I was afraid of speaking English. But I realized something. Fear disappears only when you face it daily." People listen. Some nod. Some feel motivated. And he sees himself in them. Because every confident speaker was once unsure. The only difference, they didn't stop. They kept speaking. Even when it felt uncomfortable. Even when progress was slow. Even when no one noticed. And now, he doesn't chase fluency anymore. He lives it. He enjoys conversations. He asks deeper questions. He expresses opinions calmly. He listens more carefully. Because communication is not just speaking. It is connection. And the journey continues. With every new conversation. With every new challenge. With every new opportunity to grow. Stronger voice. Stronger mindset. Stronger presence. And step by step, he keeps evolving. And as time moves forward, he notices something quiet, but powerful. English is no longer a subject. It becomes part of his personality. Earlier, he practiced English. Now, he lives in English moments. He reads an article and understands without translating. He watches a video and focuses on ideas, not subtitles. He joins a conversation and thinks about meaning, not mistakes. That transformation didn't happen in one big jump. It happened in small invisible upgrades. One word at a time. One correction at a time. One brave sentence at a time. One afternoon, he meets an old friend. This friend remembers him as the quiet one. The one who avoided English conversations. They start talking. And after a few minutes, the friend says, "You've changed. Not just your English. Your confidence." That sentence stays in his mind. Because language changes identity. When you can express yourself, you feel seen. You feel heard. You feel capable. And capability builds self-respect. But even now, he faces new challenges. Sometimes he joins conversations with native speakers. Different accents. Different speed. Different expressions. For a moment, he doesn't understand everything. But this time, he doesn't freeze. He listens carefully. He catches keywords. He asks politely, "Could you explain that in another way?" And conversation continues. No shame. Because strong communicators clarify. They don't pretend. He learns something deeper. Fluency is not knowing everything. It is staying calm when you don't know something. That calmness is his real growth. Now he focuses on depth. Not just speaking more, but speaking better. He works on tone, emotion, emphasis. Instead of saying, "I am happy," he says, "I'm really excited about this opportunity." More natural. More expressive. He practices storytelling more. Because stories hold attention. Stories create connection. And every time he shares his journey, he becomes stronger. Because he remembers where he started. The silence. The fear. The hesitation. And now, when he sees beginners struggling, he doesn't judge. He understands. He tells them, don't try to be fluent in 1 month. Try to be consistent for 1 month. That advice carries weight. Because he lived it. He didn't wake up fluent. He built fluency brick by brick. And now, even when he makes small mistakes, he doesn't feel embarrassed. He smiles. Corrects. Moves on. Because fluency is not fragile anymore. It is stable. Strong. Rooted in practice. And with every passing day, his confidence spreads into other areas. He speaks up in meetings. He shares ideas openly. He asks questions without fear. Because once you conquer one fear, you become braver everywhere. And still, he continues practicing. Not because he is behind, but because growth feels powerful. And somewhere inside, he knows. This journey that started with fear has turned into a lifelong habit of learning. And the story keeps moving forward. With every new conversation. With every new challenge. With every new level waiting ahead. And then, a quiet realization settles inside him. He no longer measures progress by big moments. Not by interviews. Not by applause. Not by compliments. He measures progress by comfort. How comfortable am I expressing my thoughts? How calm am I when someone disagrees? How steady is my voice under pressure? And the answers surprise him. Very steady. Very calm. Very clear. One evening, he sits in a cafe. People around him are speaking English naturally. Earlier, that sound felt intimidating. Now, it feels normal. He listens. He understands. He smiles slightly. Because this environment that once felt foreign, now feels familiar. That is growth. Not loud. Not dramatic. But deep. Later, a stranger starts a casual conversation. Simple question. Is this seat taken? He responds naturally. No, please go ahead. Conversation continues. Small talk. Weather. Work. Life. He doesn't plan sentences. He doesn't rehearse in his mind. He just speaks. And that effortless flow feels different. This is what he once dreamed about. Speaking without overthinking. Responding without fear. Being present in conversation. He realizes something powerful. Fluency is freedom. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from constant self-correction. Freedom from fear of judgment. But he also knows. This freedom was earned. Through repetition. Through uncomfortable practice. Through patience. He remembers the days he felt stuck. The days he thought, I'm not improving. But improvement was happening quietly. Under the surface. Like roots growing before a tree becomes visible. Now the tree is visible. Strong trunk. Steady branches. But roots. Built in silence. He builds one more habit. He challenges himself. New topics. New vocabulary. New environments. Because comfort is good. But growth needs challenge. He joins discussions outside his usual circle. He reads books with advanced ideas. He listens to different accents. Not to prove anything, but to expand. And each expansion adds depth. His sentences become more structured. His thoughts more organized. His tone more mature. People begin to trust his communication. Because he speaks with clarity. And clarity builds credibility. One day, he realizes he is no longer chasing fluency. He is using it to build relationships, to express ideas, to create opportunities. English became a bridge, not a wall. And the most important change, he trusts himself now. Even if he doesn't know a word, even if he faces a new situation, he knows he can handle it. He can think. He can respond. He can adapt. That trust is the final layer of growth. Not perfect English, not fancy vocabulary, but inner stability. And still, he continues forward, learning, refining, expanding, because growth never truly ends. And the voice that once trembled with fear now carries strength, calm strength, built over time, built through discipline, built through daily courage. And with every new day, he keeps walking forward, not as a beginner anymore, but as someone who proved to himself. Fluency is built, not gifted. And years later, when he looks back, he doesn't remember the grammar rules first. He doesn't remember the vocabulary lists. He remembers the decision, the small decision, to speak, even when scared, even when unsure, even when imperfect. That decision shaped everything. Now English is not something he switches on. It flows naturally in meetings, in travel, in friendships, in learning new skills. He can explain ideas clearly. He can tell stories with emotion. He can disagree respectfully. He can ask deep questions. And more importantly, he can listen with understanding. Because true fluency includes listening. He realizes something beautiful. The language he once feared became the tool that expanded his world. New people, new opportunities, new confidence. But the strongest gift wasn't English. It was discipline. It was self-belief. It was proof that he can transform himself. One day, a beginner asks him again, "What is the secret?" This time he answers differently. "There is no secret. There is only daily action." He explains. Speak every day. Think in English. Don't run from mistakes. Be patient with yourself. And then he adds, fluency grows quietly. You won't notice it daily. But one day, you'll realize you're no longer afraid. That sentence carries truth. Because fear disappearing was the real victory. Not accent. Not speed. Not perfect grammar. Just freedom from fear. He continues to grow. He learns new expressions. He improves tone. He sharpens storytelling. Because growth is now part of who he is. And sometimes, late at night, he thanks his past self. The version who didn't quit. The version who practiced alone. The version who felt embarrassed but continued. Without that version, this confident version wouldn't exist. He understands now. Every fluent speaker has an invisible story. Hours of silent practice. Moments of doubt. Days of slow progress. But the difference is simple. They didn't stop. And neither did he. So he keeps moving forward. One conversation at a time. One idea at a time. One challenge at a time. Because fluency is not a destination. It's a lifelong companion. Built through courage. Strengthened through discipline. And protected by consistency. And the journey still continues. And as the journey stretches further, he begins to notice something deeper than fluency. He notices presence. When he speaks now, he is fully there. Not thinking about mistakes. Not thinking about judgment. Just present in the moment. That presence changes everything. Because people don't connect with perfect grammar. They connect with energy. With clarity. With authenticity. One afternoon, he's leading a discussion. Different opinions. Strong personalities. Earlier in life, he would shrink in such rooms. Now he listens carefully. He waits. And when he speaks with intention. Not too many words. Not too fast. Just clear direction. I understand both perspectives. But let's focus on the main goal. The room settles. People nod. Because calm leadership speaks louder than loud voices. And he realizes. English didn't just give him fluency. It gave him influence. Not power over people. But power over himself. Control over fear. Control over doubt. Control over hesitation. Years ago, he thought fluency meant speaking like a native speaker. Now he understands. Fluency means speaking like yourself. Clearly. Confidently. Naturally. He keeps improving small details. Tone variation. Stronger openings. Cleaner endings. Better storytelling. He studies conversations like an artist studies art. How do great speakers pause? How do they emphasize key words? How do they simplify complex ideas? And he applies it. Step by step. Upgrade by upgrade. But he never forgets the basics. Daily speaking. Daily listening. Daily reflection. Because fundamentals built everything. One evening, he records a video sharing his journey. Not scripted heavily. Just honest. He says, if you're afraid of speaking English, start before you feel ready. Confidence is built in action, not in waiting. He watches the recording. Not to criticize. But to observe. Strong eye contact. Balanced speed. Natural flow. He smiles. Because this version of him was once only a dream. And the most powerful truth. The dream was built with small habits. 5 minutes daily. 10 minutes daily. No 0 days. He understands something now that beginners don't. Motivation starts you. But discipline transforms you. He didn't become fluent because he felt inspired every day. He became fluent because he showed up every day. Even on low energy days. Even on busy days. Even on doubtful days. And now, English is no longer a goal. It's a foundation. A tool he uses to build bigger dreams. To connect globally. To teach others. To grow beyond limits. The fear that once controlled him is now just a memory. A reminder of how far he has come. And still, he doesn't stop. Because growth has no finish line. Only new levels. New challenges. New opportunities to refine. And with every conversation he enters, he carries quiet confidence. Not loud. Not arrogant. Just steady. The kind of confidence built through repetition. Through courage. Through consistency. And the journey keeps unfolding. Not as a struggle anymore. But as strength. And one quiet morning, he realizes something unexpected. He is no longer trying to prove anything. Not to others. Not even to himself. He simply speaks. Naturally. Comfortably. Freely. There was a time when every English sentence felt heavy. Now, words feel light. Effortless. Like breathing. He remembers how he used to search for big words. To sound smart. To sound fluent. Now he understands. Simple words. Clear message. Strong impact. That is real fluency. One day, he is asked to mentor someone new. A beginner. Nervous. Overthinking. Exactly like he once was. The beginner says, I understand English, but I can't speak. He smiles softly. Because he knows that feeling. He says, you can speak. You're just afraid to be imperfect. Silence. Then he adds, start speaking badly. Speak daily. Bad English improves. Silent English doesn't. That line changes the beginner's expression. Because it's true. Silence protects fear. Speaking destroys it. He continues guiding them. Not with complicated grammar lessons, but with habits. Daily reading aloud. Daily thinking in English. Daily short conversations. And he watches something beautiful. The same transformation beginning again. In someone else. That is when he truly understands. Fluency is contagious. Confidence spreads. Courage inspires courage. And he feels proud. Not because he speaks perfectly, but because he didn't quit when it was hard. He didn't stop when it was uncomfortable. He didn't hide when it was embarrassing. He kept going. And now, English is not something he studied. It's something he mastered through repetition. Through discomfort. Through belief. He walks into rooms differently now. Not looking down. Not avoiding conversation. But ready. Ready to contribute. Ready to express. Ready to connect. And the strongest part, he trusts his voice. Even if he makes a mistake. Even if he forgets a word. Even if someone speaks faster than him. Because fluency is no longer about perfection. It's about stability. And stability is powerful. He once thought, one day, I will feel ready. Now he knows. You never feel fully ready. You become ready by doing. By speaking. By continuing. And as he moves forward. Into bigger rooms. Bigger conversations. Bigger opportunities. He carries something invisible but strong. Proof. Proof that growth is possible. Proof that fear can be defeated. Proof that daily discipline works. And that proof gives him something no one can take away. Unshakable confidence. Built quietly. Built slowly. Built intentionally. And the journey still continues. Not because he lacks something, but because he chooses growth. Every single day. And now, after all these days, all these months, all these small efforts, he stands still for a moment. And he understands something clearly. The journey was never only about English. It was about courage. It was about discipline. It was about showing up. When no one was watching. He smiles. Because the boy who once stayed silent now speaks with strength. Not loudly. Not arrogantly. But calmly. Confidently. Clearly. He doesn't need perfect grammar to feel powerful. He doesn't need a foreign accent to feel worthy. He doesn't need complicated words to feel intelligent. He only needs clarity. And belief. He realizes something beautiful. Fluency was built in the invisible days. The days he practiced alone. The days he repeated sentences. The days he corrected himself. The days he felt slow progress. But didn't quit. That is where the real transformation happened. And now, when he looks forward, he doesn't feel fear anymore. He feels possibility. Because if he could build this skill, step by step, he can build anything. That is the final lesson. English was the training ground. Consistency was the weapon. Confidence was the reward. And growth is now his identity. So if you are at the beginning of this journey, remember him. Remember the silent practice. Remember the daily effort. Remember that progress feels slow. Until one day, it feels natural. Start small. Speak daily. Don't wait to be perfect. Because the version of you who speaks confidently is not far away. He is built by what you do today. Take a deep breath. Say it with strength. I am improving. Pause. I will not quit. Pause. I will keep speaking. And that is how beginners become fluent. Not by magic. but by choice. Every single day.